Welcome students to SCPM's revision class. Okay, our syllabus is already over, so we are simply revising today the syllabus. Whatever syllabus that we covered till now, we are going to actually revising all that syllabus. So, if we go with the syllabus now, yesterday we have seen unit number 1 and 2. Today we are going to revise. Again, I'm just going to discuss with you. I'm not going to play any of the presentation slides that I actually played while giving you the details on this syllabus. Okay, so because if I go on playing those slides, it will take too much time and it will become quite difficult for me and even for you to complete the what can I say this revision, brief revision of the syllabus in a very brief manner within a time frame of 1 hour. So what is software engineering and analysis, software engineering analysis and design, that we have seen in this unit number 3. So the most important part in any product design, just not the software, whichever product that you are creating, first thing is the analysis. We require to analyze many things. Take a simple example. Let's say suppose someone asks you to make a cup of tea. Now, if someone asks you to make a cup of tea, the first thing that comes into your mind is what type of tea. Okay, there are different types of teas are there. One is a black tea, lemon tea, tea with milk, then tea, what you call as a British tea, and something like that. Yes, I think Jabde has raised the hand. Okay, no one actually raised hands happen accidentally. So whatever questions, queries you are having, just put that questions or queries into the question answer box so that we can answer that. Okay. Now, what is analysis? So, when you want to make a cup of tea, the first thing that come into mind is that what type of tea the person want. Okay, so you'll ask him first the type of tea. So you'll say, okay, I require black tea, or the person may ask you that I will require black tea, but the Kashmiri version. Okay, so they actually adds with tea leaves some kesar into the or saffron, what we call, into that particular tea, and instead of sugar they add a little bit of salt. Okay, so that is a very or something like that. So this is what we call as an analysis. Analysis means you actually start questioning about the what exact product you require. Okay, so this questioning go with a two way. First is called as direct questioning. Means suppose if you have some problem, if you want to understand something, you can directly question your mentor. Okay, for example, say right now I am teaching you the subject software engineering and project management. Someone else is teaching you some other subject. Now, if you are having a problem in a particular subject, you obviously go first directly to the mentor. Sir or madam, this is my problem. I won't understand this and likewise. So this is what say your direct questioning. So in the same way, you can directly ask the customer what the customer requires. Okay, so customer says now here is require the black Kashmiri tea. Okay, now you say you will find that is for black Kashmiri tea, what is requirement specification, that you require the tea leaves, you require the what you can say kesar leaves or kesar, and you require the other ingredients of tea. But now you say that is you won't have the kesar, then you can tell him that you won't have the kesar. So will it be workable that if you want to add it and instead you can add any other thing? Okay, so these are the things that you so some may ask you the herbal tea, some may ask you the green tea, and likewise. So based on that, your design, yes, that is whatever requirements are there, your ingredients will be finalized. These ingredients are actually the part of the design. So these ingredients actually give you the complete idea what exactly you are going to add into that tea. For example, let's say suppose if you come to me and as say suppose I am your customer, and you ask me the question what type of web page you require, and I say that is I want a web page giving my details. So you know that is a person is a well educated and something. So giving his detail means the person require a web page which should have to display all his CV. Okay. Now, for a simple web page for displaying the CV, curriculum vitae, what we call, or what we call as a profile of that person or biodata of that person, having a website is not what you can say the best solution. The better solution is the person should have to have a blog page or a simple web page where he can add all those things. So what we call as one page with all the information, and this is what going to happen in a few years. Few years means within the few months actually, that from now onwards the companies usually will like to go through the online resume. So you should have to have at least one web page your in your name which will detail everything, your education qualifications, extra qualification other than the regular education. Means let's say regular education is B and you are done some extra certification course in Java, in Python, in data science or software testing and likewise. Okay, so that and whatever experience, whatever project you implemented actually, okay, all those should have to be there. So you can, when you send a resume or some application to the person, you can also send this link on that resume and the person can cross check. So there you can upload the e-certificates, your PDF file, scan file of your things. There you can also upload demo, what you can say, presentation. Just right now in a TAE2 I asked you to create one presentation and then record it. So you can put there your presentation, you can upload that on YouTube and give the link there, or you can upload that on the web page so that the industry person will get the things. That is called as a design. So as soon as I you asked me a question and I said I require a personal page, okay, a personal page, the page which reflect what am I, okay, or whatever I have achieved in my life always, mostly we will say, so that you are going to display there. So this is called the data requirement, and that is a analysis and design. This is the essence of any product development, just not software. Okay, any product development. Let's say I have given first example of a tea. Tea is not the software. Yes, it is the edible. Okay, actually it is a beverage, hot beverage. You can say then you can have if you go for the edible, what are the analysis? Say suppose a farmer come to you and consider you are an agriculture specialist, and the farmer is your customer, and the farmer asks that he want to sow some particular type of crops. Let's say suppose the farmer say that he want to sow the cotton, okay, in his land. So what you will say, your first question will be what is the pH value of your land. Yeah, because pH value of land decides whether crop is going to grow properly or not. If it is not normal, you require to first normalize that pH value. You have to add the ingredients or what we call as the food of the trees. We generally call it as a fertilizer. Okay, so that food of the tree that required to be added into the farmland, and then only in a right what you can say season you have to sow the things, so you get the entire design of one crop, cotton crop. Yes, so this is analysis and design. I deliberately not highlighted software engineering here. Why? Because this is actually what exactly mean by analysis and design. As soon as you get the details of the things, you get the all requirements. हॅलो सर, लेक्चर चालू आहे माझं. हां, लेक्चर चालू आहे आता. चाल हो, लेक्चर झाल्यावर येतो वाटतं. So here you are having this analysis and design. So when we consider this analysis, first thing, that means what you are questioning. The first method is direct questioning. Okay, so you are directly questioning to the customer what is the requirement of the customer, so that you can get what will be the ingredients for the design. Now comes the another method, that is called as indirect method. Means there is actually no customer, or actually even if there is a customer, maybe the customer not available to answer your questions directly. So for example, let's say suppose one library is your customer, an institution is your customer, and that library owner or say institutional owner, right, consider that is you pass out from the college, or while working on the college said that is we are ready to sponsor a project to you, and let's make the library project for us, online library project. Okay, but nobody is there to answer your questions and queries. In that case you have to go indirect way. So in this indirect analysis, you are actually go on studying the different books. You go on studying the different existing software systems which are used for the library management, and based on that you will create a primary, what you can say, presentation or the primary design, and then you will send this primary design with you can say a presenter with a presentation to the what you can say the organization, and the organization will say okay or not okay, or it may say that is okay, these points are okay, this here you require to make some amendments and likewise, and then it gets finalized. Okay, on from finalization what I came into mind, uh, as per the meeting of faculty members, HODs, deans, and the directors, general practices that GP4, GP5, something was there in your course registration. So first it was decided to copycat the last year batch. So TYB was considered to go for the GP4, but now GP5 is finalized for all. So while doing your course registration, select GP5. Okay, no GP4. Prior to that you can even ask your class teacher which GP should have to be selected. Okay, so now we'll come back to our course, that is we are going with the analysis and design. So when we go for the analysis and design, what exactly happen, we analyze something, okay, and we design something. Okay, so what we analyze something and we design something, this happens because whatever we analyze we won't actually pass that information in a design. So when we have the two teams which are not working properly, we go on doing something like that. So there are different models for this to pass the exact and correct information so that design will be correct. Okay, so there are only two methods in analysis for analyzing. One is called as a direct method. Okay, direct method is either by doing the questioning or doing the observation. For example, say suppose you want to create something based on the life of, or you can say the some ant, or say or spider. Spider can't answer your question. क्या आपको स्पाइडर एंड को जाके पूछ तो नहीं सकते ना, डियर स्पाइडर और डियर एंड टेल मी व्हाट यू डू फॉर योर लिविंग, नो, they won't have any answer to give you because they don't understand your language. Now what you have to do then, you should have to put them under your observation. Okay, from their life, for their lifetime, because their lifespan is very small, that's why you can put them under observation for their lifespan, and from their birth to death you can observe what exactly they do, and you can note the things down, and that is called as the direct method as analysis. This noting down will automatically give you, if you want to create an artificial spider, if you want to create an artificial intelligent say spy ants, you can actually observe the behavior of these things, and you can add those behavior into your robots, so the robots will become unidentifiable even if they are mixed into the ants and likewise. So this is what we call as an analysis. Okay, because analysis actually gives you the idea of the all ingredients required for a design. Once those ingredients are there, we require to actually adjust these ingredients with each other or what we call in a cooking style, we require to cook the ingredients with each other. For example, let's say suppose if you want to make some vegetable, okay, well, whoever done the GP4, I will, while proving that, I will try to change that to the GP5, or you simply talk with MIS person. Okay, but prior to that, you get confirm this from your class teacher. Okay, Ritik, got this thing? That's why I asked those forms to send me. I will make the changes accordingly. So this analysis and design is there. So when we observe those things and when we go for that, we actually get what can say the exact model. Okay, the ingredients, how to cook that ingredients. This is suppose if you want to cook a vegetable, okay, and what you did, you put something on the stove. Thank you, Ritik. If you put something on a stove, it says you put a pot on a stove, and instead of pouring the oil first, you directly poured the cut vegetables into it. What will happen? The vegetables will go, what you can say, into they will burn. Okay, they will actually get burnt, and you won't get a proper edible vegetable, means your product will not be good enough. In the same way, when it comes to design, which ingredient to add first, which ingredient to add next, that must have to be there. For example, let's say suppose you want to create a very good e-commerce business, and for that purpose you simply started without thinking about the which ingredient first, which next. What will happen? Your project will become quite a chaos, and many times in such things, what we call as the strategy, reactive strategy, okay, it won't work properly. So this is what you can consider accordingly. So an analysis and design that you require to find out in a proper way. So you require to mix these ingredients in a good way or in a proper way, and then only it will work properly. Okay, so this is what about the analysis and design. So we have seen the overview in things in the chapters. Now, second thing that we have seen, what is the requirements analysis. So once you collect the something, re-questioning is very necessary, because sometimes what happens, we question something, someone give you some answer, and once that answer is given, we get once again the problem of this questioning and re-questioning. So we have to re-question everything. You require, that is what we call as a reanalyze, and that's why we have the spiral model. So if you go with this requirement analysis simply means once communication is done, you actually create a smaller design based on that communication, a use case model, and you show that to the customer says that is okay, this is not okay, this is okay, add this, do this modification likewise. So that is once again the requirements analysis. So there are different analysis modeling approaches are there, and that analysis modeling approaches, the first approach is the data modeling. Some of the projects in a software engineering are generally very data centric. For example, let's say suppose if someone want you to create an inventory management system, okay, so you have the tremendous amount of data of similar type. Say for a super shopping, you have the products code, product pricing, expiry dates, and like and something, but all data is there. So what is the core part of this type of software is your database, the maximum data. So in such a software, you require to first design a proper database, proper distributed database, which can be used to store data properly to create. So you go with the data modeling. Then second is what we call the object oriented analysis. Maximum time what happens nowadays, almost all softwares are network based or network centric. They uses the network at their core. So object oriented analysis should have to be used there. So OOA is there that you require to use for this object oriented analysis. Then you require to go for the scenario based modeling. Again, scenario based modeling don't consider how exactly the things goes. Okay, so object oriented modeling, or this object oriented thing is for considering your thing. If you go with the object oriented analysis, object oriented analysis is for considering the objects, classes, and likewise. Scenario based modeling is actually deal with what or how you will design, or you actually create the user interfaces. So it's not actually deal with the inner intricacies, scenario based modeling of your software. Instead, it deals with how your software will respond to the user's action. So we already discussed, now it's not a part of your syllabus, that the interfaces are of two types: explicit, where a human being required to give the input manually, and the implicit, where the machine try to get input by extracting information from the surrounding. So that is based on the scenario based modeling that you require to do. Then comes the flow oriented modeling. In a flow oriented modeling, actually whatever software that you are having, that software have two type of flow. One is the data flow, because software is what you have: the input, you have the processing, and you have the output, and in a processing you create the intermediate data. Okay, so in processing itself you are having the a chain of small processes. So that is what we call say control. So you have the data flow and you have the control flow. You have the state flow, means software changes its state from one state to another state. For example, when you log in into a email system, what exactly happens? You first enter the your arm of that email system, then you enter the username, then you enter the password, and on every entry it changes its state, so it displays something different, and likewise. So that is what we call as a flow. This also called as a storyboard prototyping, flow oriented modeling. So that is used generally, this flow oriented modeling is generally used to detail out the entire process of the software in a very brief manner. Okay, then you are in the class based modeling, is nothing but the object oriented modeling, or what you can say thing, which is nothing. So we know that what is class and what are the objects. uh, Class is a set of similar type of objects. For example, bird is a class, and the objects of the bird are penguin, sparrows, ostrich, peacock, hen. These are the different objects of that particular class. So class based modeling is there. Then behavioral model is there. Behavioral model is again about the flow, but here behavioral model is, we can say, the extension of the scenario based modeling, because it actually show how your software behaves with the customer. And behavioral model also shows how the software models will behave with each other. So it's actually consider about the integration also. So behavioral model that we require to go through. So we are having the different design engineering concepts there that we have seen here. Now designing engineering concepts are design model that we are saying. Then we also go with this pattern based model. So first thing is the design engineering concepts. So there are different concepts. One is called as a process concept, and the event oriented concepts. So your thing, and based on that you are in the top down designing, bottom up designing. Okay, or you can have this based on the different type of thing. Then you have the formal methods, that is you can go with the mathematical designing of the thing. Then you have the design model. Okay, so you have all this modeling are nothing but the design model, analysis model. Then you have this pattern based software design. What is pattern based software design? For a particular thing, there is a particular type of process. For example, let's say suppose if you want to make a tea, whether you are making tea in India, whether you are making tea in America, whether you are making tea in Ghana, whether you are making tea on moon, whether you are making tea on Mars, ingredients will remain same. Yeah, the process is somehow will remain same, so the pattern is always same. That is called as a cooking pattern. So no matter what type of vegetable that you want to cook, what type of dish you want to prepare, the cooking pattern for a particular similar type of dish is always same. So instead of reinventing the wheel, what the software engineers does, they always go by these patterns, because it's actually uh, what we can say improve the speed of development, and so the pattern based software design is used for that. Then we have seen in unit number 3 the unified modeling language concepts. For that purpose, what I have given to you is the Modelio software, which uses the BPMN, business process modeling notations actually, and we use that Modelio, and I also have shown you the another software that you can use for this unified modeling language concepts and thing, that is Visual Paradigm for the UML. So though one is the commercial and community edition, that is Visual Paradigm, while Modelio is the free open source. And if you go through the software, then you can actually create these UML views, static view, design view, use case view, state machine view, activity view, interaction view, or deployment view. What these views are? These views are nothing but whatever we discuss here: object oriented analysis, modeling, and likewise. So this is what we covered in the unit number 3. If anybody of you are having any questions, queries regarding this, you can raise the questions, and they are welcome. Okay. So nobody is having any question regarding this. So we'll go for the software testing. You know that testing is, as per as me concerned, I say that testing is the most required thing in our life. I am just not talking about now the software. I am talking only about the testing. So what exactly testing means? Testing is the criteria, or you can say the benchmark, or you can say a process which try to find out the capabilities in a person. For example, let's say suppose if I give you the weight of 10 kg and I ask you lift it, very easy. Okay, 10 kg you can lift it. Then I increase the weight from 10 to 20 kg, lift it, you lift 20 kg. Well, say I increase say from 20 to 30 kg. You are quite can say healthy person, so consider that you lifted the 20 kg, 30 kg also. The only thing is that is go on increasing, and instead of now increasing by 10 kg, I say that is now lift the 300 kg, and you know that is you are out of capacity. That is what say testing. Testing means you are actually trying to find out the limit of performance or the failure point of your software. Failure point of your software, you are actually giving a heavy input to your software to find out for how much load a software can give you the correct performance. For example, let's say suppose you want to transfer data from one PC to another PC, and the speed is 1 MB 1 MB per second, and you are having so 1 terabyte of data to transfer. So what will be the time required? Too much. Yes, obviously, because 1 MB का 1 GB होने तक 1024 seconds will be there. Okay, 1 GB के लिए 10 GB के लिए into 10, those many seconds. Then if you go with the terabytes, it will require a whole damn week or maybe a month, something like that. So that is what we call say testing. So you are actually trying to find out whether your data transfer speed is good or not, and to make it good, then you can go for optimizing your strategies of the software. So to test something, you require to find out something as testing strategy. मतलब एक funny example है. This is by a scientist, a biologist once decided to work on the एक caterpillar. आपको पता है ना, वो मराठीत आपण त्याला गोम म्हणतो, कणखजुरा बोलते हिंदी में उसको, बहुत सारे पैर होते हैं. So he actually cut down one leg of that caterpillar, ऐसा that कणखजुरा, सेकंड लेग, थर्ड लेग, सारे जब उसके पैर उसने तोड़ डाले तो वो बिल्कुल भी मूव नहीं कर पा रहा था. तो उसने क्या लिखा कि वो हर बार उसका पैर काटने के बाद उसको वॉक बोलता था. ओके, तो सारे पैर काटने के बाद भी वॉक बोलने के बाद वो चल नहीं रहा, पैर ही नहीं तो चलेगा वैसे. बट ही कंक्लूडेड दैट बिकॉज the insect is not having any leg, he become deaf. अब वो मुझे सुन नहीं सकता है. So दिस इज व्हाट वी कॉल एज टेस्टिंग स्ट्रैटेजी. मतलब आप जो टेस्ट कर रहे हैं उसका जो आउटपुट आप लेने, जो आपको आउटपुट चाहिए उसके हिसाब से टेस्ट होनी चाहिए, नहीं तो यू विल कम अप विथ अ रॉन्ग डिसीजंस. Okay, or and that wrong decisions can cause a very chaos into entire system. So testing strategies require to be very clear. Now there are again two ways of this. You can start from the scratch or you can go to the experts. And so for the testing strategy you should have to go to the experts, because just like a pattern based software engineering, there is a pattern based testing. Means for every pattern there is a particular type of test. मतलब आपको अगर वेट लिफ्टर की टेस्टिंग देनी है तो आपको मुझे वेट इंक्रीज करके देना है. आपको कुकिंग की टेस्ट देनी है तो आपको मुझे कुछ तो भी कुक करने के लिए देना है. आपको प्रोग्रामिंग की टेस्ट देनी है तो आई मस्ट हैव टू गिव यू सम प्रोग्रामिंग you can say things, and that is what is the testing strategies and tactics on overview. So these things you require to do on the basis. So testing strategy and tactics are very necessary that you require to work on first. So that's thing. Then the level of testing. हाँ भाई, फर्स्ट स्टैंडर्ड में हो और मैं ट्वेल्थ का पेपर आपको दे दूँ तो चलेगा नहीं चलेगा. सो इन सेम थिंग लेवल ऑफ टेस्टिंग इज देयर. व्हाट इन विच फेज योर सॉफ्टवेयर एग्जैक्टली, that you have to identify first. आपका सॉफ्टवेयर इज इन इनिशियल फेज. Okay, it only few lines of codes are there, and if you go on testing it for the heavy load, your software won't work. So based on that you require to go with the level of testing. So for version 1 you require to have the different testing, and likewise then when you go for the testing you are having the something, and that is called as the unit testing. Now what is unit? A unit in a software engineering or in a product engineering is considered as an undividable part of a system, because system is actually the organization of different units, and one unit means the component of system which is undividable. So you should have to check first whether unit is correct or not. If unit is wrong, system may fail. For example, heart is the one unit of our body, brain is the one unit of our body, veins are one unit of our body, what you can say the blood circulation system. So if that won't, any of these one unit fail, what will happen? Even your stomach is the unit of your body, if it won't work in proper way, okay, it will create problems for all the rest units. And that's why the first thing that you require to see whether your unit is correct or not. Means the part or the module of your software should have to be tested for its performance, correctness, robustness and everything. Once you satisfied there that is your unit is correct, you should have to go now integrating these units, because any organization, any software, any you can say system is actually the what you can say the combination or aggregation of these units, and these units actually work in combination or in synchronicity with each other. So there you have to see the integration testing whether every unit works in resonance with the other units or not. So that is what calls integration testing. So when the all units are integrated, you get your system ready. Now system is ready, but this system required to be get validated by the market. I am not saying now by the customer, because customer nothing is the market. So if customer say okay, your system is okay. If customer say not okay, your system is not okay. Many time what happens, customers say not okay to the system, not because system is not okay, but because of the some economical conditions or some other things. Okay, and so you are required to go for this validation testing also. I'm giving the example here. For example, right now our we are having some conflicts with China. China is having conflicts with everybody. Yes, so due to that conflicts we ban many Chinese applications. Where those application are those application what you say bad? No, but customers simply don't want to use them, and so that is what we call as a validation. And why customer don't want to use them? Because the the producer of the those particular softwares are hurting the emotion of what you can say, the customer. Yes, and that is what's saying. So when you go on doing a business, when you want to sell the product, don't consider because your product is not sold in a market means your product is bad. Sometimes your product is very good, but it's just because you fail to manage the people factor or human factor, which is considered as a most important in agile practices. It says that whatever product that you are creating for human beings. Yes, you are not creating any software for a dogs or a monkeys or a donkeys or parrots. Okay, they are not going to use them. You can teach them how to use it, but they are not going to use them because they literally have no need of your softwares or something. Nature made them in a different way, entirely different way than us. We require the tools. Okay, so you require to handle this customer sentiment to have this what you can say your software to be, and that is how validation testing. So generally if you are having the good relations with your customer, okay, and if you keep in a communication, you get the validation testing. Once things are validated, okay, again I think that is customer many times validate the things on the basis of emotions. Okay, instead you require to go on the quality, and there you have to go with the system testing. You once again have to check the entire system before releasing it. And debugging techniques are there. Debugging means whatever bugs you found out while testing your software, you try to minimize those bugs or remove those bugs. Some bugs are there just due to the what you can say limitation of hardware. For example, let's say suppose your customer want 256-bit architecture, but right now there is only 64-bit architecture available in a domestic area of the computer technology. So you can't create the 256-bit software for that particular thing, and this type of things are there. So same. So first this you require to gain. Then we have gone through the software testing fundamentals. So what are the software testing fundamentals? One thing, we as a tester, if you go as a tester, software tester, you should have to check the software for its weakness, not for its strength. A tester is the one who should have to check the software for its weakness, not for the what you can say strength. Because if you check the strength only, you will automatically get a blind spot for the weakness, and once you get the blind spot for the weakness, what will happen? You will start not getting enough out of it. Okay, and your software will not you can say stay in a market for a longer time. Okay, there are many companies who started with a very good softwares, they made the things, but after that they fail into the software testing fundamentals, and instead of pointing on the weakness of the software, they go on the strength of software, so they never improved their software. Okay, and that is what we call in a personal thing, this testing is called as a SWOT. Okay, SWOT means what we can say strength, opportunity, weaknesses, and threat analysis. So you have to find out your strength, you have to find out the opportunities, and then you have to find out the weaknesses, and you also have to consider about the market competitors in the software design. That is called as the threats. So when you go for the SWOT analysis of software itself, I'm not saying here the human being, you also have to do the human being software and SWOT analysis in software testing fundamentals, because it's a teamwork and you should have to go for that. So that is what testing fundamentals. Then there are two type of test. One is called as a black box test, another is called as a white box test. Actually white box test is the first test that you require to carry out, because white box test starts with the phase analysis. So when you ask the question, you should have to ask the right question. मतलब आप एक पिक्चर है, आई एम क्वाइट what we say fan of different movies, especially okay, would you like to tea with me? She say no. वो दो चार पांच बार no. तो वो सोचता है कि एक दिन वो उसको पूछता है मेरे साथ कुछ गलत है जो आप मुझसे मेरे साथ चाय पीने के लिए नहीं आ रही, तो बोलते हैं इट्स नॉट रॉन्ग विथ यू, इट्स रॉन्ग विथ द क्वेश्चन. सो नेक्स्ट टाइम यू आस्क द क्वेश्चन, will you like to have coffee with me, and she says yes. So that is what we say testing strategy, white box testing. Learn to ask right question and also learn to give right answers. Many times if you don't know the answer, it is wise to keep mum. For example, many times when you ask me or when you do some type of questioning, out of frustration, sometimes what happens, the students simply send some messages to the faculties, and if we respond it at the same instance, what happens at the time, generally we are not giving you something. So sometimes giving no response is the valid response that you have to what you can say practice in your life also. So software testing fundamentals say white box testing. So you should have to ask the correct questions, you should have to give the correct answers, because if you give the correct answers, you will get the right design elements, ingredients, and your system will work properly. So if you do this, carry out the white box testing, almost 90% testing of your software get completed in a white box testing itself. Only 10%, which is actually the part of implementation error, that then comes into the black box testing. ओके, सो कुछ सिंटैक्स एरर होती है कंप्यूटर लैंग्वेजेस में, कुछ सिमेंटिक्स एरर होती है, और समटाइम्स मे बी द नेटवर्क एरर दैट यू रिक्वायर टू चेक इन अ black box testing. So again, black box testing is of two type. One is called as alpha testing, the testing which is done in a controlled laboratories by the third party and expert people, and then you have the beta testing, the testing which is actually done by the enthusiastic users, and likewise. So these are the things that we have seen in unit number 3 and 4. So this is what I say the revision, or I consider that I sufficiently revised this. I don't know whether I revised it correctly or not, because within 1 hour of span, revising analysis, design, and testing is not possible. So whatever I tell here is just the abstract view of the revision itself, because I have seen the books. I actually gone and read the books only on the software analysis, no design part, only on analysis having thousands of pages and tons of information. I'm still say that is only analysis is itself is such a big thing that if you go deep into it, a revision within one lifetime is not possible. So whatever it I say that as per your syllabus, we have covered this with 9 hours or something. And for extra information, I said that I'm not someone like in a Google who's having all the information stored somewhere in the data. So whatever knowledge I got is just by reading or by doing something. Okay, and I tried to pass that knowledge to you, and wherever I found myself weak, I actually refer the experts. For example, if you go with the Roger Pressman, the person is actually what we call as technical counselor or with, to the Fortune 500 software companies, and he dedicated almost 35 years of his life to the software engineering processes. Okay, then Gradibo, and I have actually gone through the actual practical softwares like Modelio and Visual Paradigms. I have given you a short introduction to those things, and what I expect from you, that while designing your software projects of the third year mini projects or something, or even for the BTech, if you go for the MTech and you're for the PhD, and whenever you go into industry, there also try to stick with the software testing fundamentals or software analysis and design fundamentals, or what you can say in general with the software engineering and project management fundamentals. Always keep in mind, it is not the product, it is the customer, or it is not the machine, it is the human being which is important. So no matter what is the cost of your machine, if it is not giving any productivity to the human race, I am not saying a single human, to the human race, that machine is useless. That machine is useless. Any software that you create, if that is not adding into, what you can say, the easiness of the life in a person, okay, it is useless software. So what I expect, that is, if you follow the software engineering and project management tactics, you will learn how to handle humans, also how to handle the machines, okay, and you will become really a good software engineer by following these things. So this is the revision. If you have any questions, queries, or anything that you want to discuss with me regarding the subject, you can ask. My today's talk is, uh, what you can say, over. If you go with the things, if your question comes, then I can answer for the thing. So wait for this 10 minutes for this answering session. I'm literally expecting some questions from your side. Thank you for the attendance. Almost 74 attendees are there, and I know that is due to network. Maybe few are left, few are there. But think, if you like to ask questions, you see for this. Okay. Okay. So none of you are there to ask questions. Okay, ठीक है. So I'm stopping the sharing of these slides.